Hey guys, Lucky here, and this is my Diablo clone guide for Season 3, using a sorceress again, but it's a little bit different than Season 2, as well as there's been some changes to the fight itself, which I'm going to explain, but let's just start right from the basics. If you haven't summoned the Diablo clone fight before, it takes 3 materials: the Primeval Souls, Black Soul Stones, and Pure Demonic Essence. Primeval Souls drop from Diablo and Baal in Hell difficulty. They have about a 1 in 100 chance of dropping. Black Soul Stones drop from Uber Trist, any of the bosses in there, with a 1 in 3 chance. And Pure Demonic Essences drop from any map boss with another 1 in 100 chance. Basically, when you get all these, you put them in your cube, transmute, and you get a Vision of Terror. This is what's used to summon the Diablo clone event. For Season 3, you no longer can open the Diablo clone event in town. See? Just anywhere. You have to go to a specific spot right by Qualkek, the Blood Fountain. This is how you open Uber Trist. This is how you open the Declone fight. So I am going to start the fight now, and I'll go over the gear and everything after. So, right quick, you start the fight. In Season 3, the fight doesn't start immediately when you walk in anymore, so you're not going to get hit by anything immediately upon entry, but shortly after, Diablo will start attacking again. There was just a little bit of a delay inserted into Season 3. You'll notice already the fight looks different from Season 1 because we have additional skeletons that were summoned after the first phase of the fight. So the first phase is just these regular bone warriors that do melee damage. They're pretty easy to avoid, and they're not too... They don't cause too much of a problem unless they all gang up around you and corner you into an unsafe position. So the fight is otherwise fairly similar to the previous season. Diablo has the same attacks. His life was reduced. His Cold Nova was reduced, and you'll see now we've entered the second phase of the fight, where skeleton archers have joined. And these guys are actually pretty devastating, so you want to take them out as soon as possible. You'll see I'm running a firewall build. So what happens is, when this phase of the fight starts, I go around and I target just the skeleton archers and make sure I kill them before they have a chance of killing me later on. So it's very safe outside of the ring. I'm not so focused on Diablo clone. I go around, kill all the archers, and then I'm right back in the fight once they're all dead. You'll notice that as I'm using Firewall on Diablo clone, the firewalls are extending to a large portion of the actual arena, and they're also killing the skeletons as the fight goes on. So that's why I really like this skill. Not only am I able to deal consistent, constant damage to Diablo clone, with fairly large numbers, but I'm also attacking the skeletons at the same time, so it's removing all of those adds from the fight while dealing a ton of damage to Diablo. So this build can be made fairly safe and fairly tanky, and I'll show you all of my stats after the fight. You'll notice that the third wave was just spawned. This is the third and final wave and indicates the end of the fight is coming soon. The addition on the third fight are these skeleton mages that really you don't have to worry too much about. If you're a melee based character doing this fight, you may want to look out for the cold damage if you don't have Cannot Be Frozen, but there's really not a whole lot to worry about, except once again skeleton archers are summoned. So you want to go around just like we did in Wave 2 and take those out. That's going to be your primary focus in that wave. Alright, the end of the Baal Novas indicates the end of the final phase. So we've entered the final phase of the fight here. We want to make sure we take out these archers that are left behind while consistently doing damage to Diablo clone. Avoid attacks, avoid getting cornered by skeletons. And you get your Annie. That's it. The Diablo clone items, which you remember from Season 2, were actually increased in terms of their chance to drop. So we have a 1 in 400 chance versus a 1 in 500 chance that we did in the previous season. So you notice we didn't get a Diablo clone item there, but we'll probably get one soon. So we'll go over the gear next. The gear I used to complete that fight, this is a Shoota's slammed for 2 sockets, and socketed with 2/5/5 fire facets for extra damage here. We have a +3 all skills Shaco with 2 sockets, socketed with 2 Vexes. This is for extra fire res, max fire res, because there's a lot of fire damage in this fight, and you want to get your max fire res all the way up to 95 again. Right now I'm using a Mara's Kaleidoscope. This is for extra all res, and it has a +1 max all res slam. So that's giving us more max res for all that damage that's in the fight. Dark Glow for max all res and all res. Just a great all-around armor, socketed with 3 sockets, and we put 3 ohms for additional max cold res. You'll notice that my cold res here is 94%. This is a +1 all skills Storm Shield with 2 sockets, socketed with an and a perfect Ruby. Now this is something that not a lot of people understand still about this fight, and you need to overcap your fire res for this fight. And you'll notice I have about 50 overcapped fire res for this fight, and that's where the Ruby comes into play in the Storm Shield. This is giving me 40 fire res, which is very important for the overcap. In addition to that, I have an for more res. On my gloves, I'm using Hellmouth. These are -10 enemy fire res. Diablo clones resistance can drop below 0, so although he only has 30 fire res this season, it can drop below 0 at half efficiency. So I am stacking a lot of Pierce on this build, around 60% Pierce, to do additional damage to the fight goes. Bulk out those wedding bands, 2 of them for extra skills, life, and damage. This is a 15% damage reduction for Dungos, slammed with +2 max all res for more of that max res, which helps keep us alive in the fight. And then Water Walks with plus max fire res and fire res hybrid slam. These are great just in general boosts for the fight. You get a ton of life, you get block rate, you get faster run walk, just absolute home run boost. A lot of this you'll notice is similar to the previous season. On SWAT, we have a 6 BO CTA and a +3 all skills lidless to get extra life for the fight. Charms are fire skillers with life, sorceress torch, and annihilus with high res, and then a bunch of fire res, life, and all res life small charms to round out the inventory, give us a ton of life and a ton of res. The skills for this build are we put 1 into Shiver Armor. This helps you with the skeletons when they crowd around you. We bump up our static to around 9.3 yard radius. This is the last thing you're going to want to do. I like this so I can static both Diablo clone from a distance at the beginning of the fight, and you can actually use it on the skeletons if you feel comfortable doing that. Point and teleport. And you're going to max Firewall and all of these synergies, which include Warmth, Inferno, and Fire Mastery. So you'll notice with all of our buffs, we are at approximately 23,000 firewall damage. This is always being applied to Diablo clone. We have anywhere from 3 to 5 or 6 up at all times, and that's per second damage. It's so much damage that's being applied. On top of Diablo clone's life being reduced this season, our runs are about 2 minutes long. We just did one that was 2 minutes and 15 seconds, and I've been able to push it actually under 2 minutes. So this is the build that I'm using. I'm just going to go over the stat sheet one more time. We've got 95 max fire, 94 cold, 82 light, 44% damage reduction. This is important. A lot of the damage that we're receiving in there is physical damage reduction, and then we have a ton of Pierce because we can do additional damage this season thanks to the Pierce. Faster cast rate is not usually important with this build, and that's because Firewall kind of has a cooldown anyway, The increased faster cast rate will help us cast it a little bit quicker, but the way the fight works, you saw, I kind of moved around, cast the firewall, and moved around, cast the firewall. So the faster cast rate's not going to come into play too much. I have a few faster hit recovery small charms to get to the 20 break point. More would be nice, but that's what I'm using right now. For stats, we put enough strength in for gear, and I dumped the rest in vitality. I don't think necessarily that this is the best route. I think maybe a combination of using some dexterity now that my life is so high. I would probably, if I were to respec, I would go to around 2,000 life and then put the rest in dexterity to increase my block chance, just because with all the additional skeletons this season, the block is there to help. So yeah, that's my build. I will have a single player copy of this character in the description. If you'd like to try it out for yourself, if you'd like to play the Diablo clone fight, you can try it out on single player. I'll have a bunch of visions ready and rejuvenation potions for you, so you can go and try the fight out for yourself. And I also will be offering Diablo clone services for everyone for the first time in my Twitch channel. So drop me a follow, come hang out, and I will take care of the Diablo clone for you this season. One for everybody that joins for your first one. So guys, I hope you appreciate the video. If you have any questions, feel free to comment or join my Discord, ask me questions, or ask me on Twitch. And then until next time, good luck with your clones, guys. I hope you